These are Toyota's 3 body-on-frame SUVs. We have them all lined up here at Toyota HQC, so let's go ahead and take a look at all 3 of them. So we're gonna start out with the Land Cruiser here and make our way down. Now, I'm not gonna do specs and price and all that stuff because you can option these out however you like. Rather, I'm just gonna kind of talk about them a little bit. So the Land Cruiser has 2 grades as of right now, 1958, and this one being the Land Cruiser grade. Very weird naming on Toyota's part, but this one pretty much stands out above these 2 in my opinion. One, because it's its own thing within the Toyota lineup. It does share some stuff with the Lexus GX 550. However, when we get into these ones, I'll explain, they're very truck-like. So the Land Cruiser is gonna come with a standard hybrid powertrain, and also with that, a standard 4-wheel drive system. So for those that want a standard 4-wheel drive system in their vehicle, then the Land Cruiser and potentially 4Runner are gonna be the ones that you want to look at. So this one, walking around it, looks pretty good, right? Very kind of old school-esque in a sense. A little bit of plastic on the outside that I don't really like, but it does look great in this underground color. Now, when we go on inside to the Land Cruiser, again, like I said, a unique interior. So we have a 12.3-inch screen on this model. If you got a 1958, you're gonna get a smaller screen. Fully digital MID right here. This one has a rear locker and a center locking diff in it. So center locking diff, rear locking diff. This particular one has the sway bar disconnect. You have your crawl controls, the downhill assist control, 3-zone climate control, which is nice in the Land Cruiser, heated and ventilated seats. Now the interior is very nice too. Tons of soft touch material throughout it, very nice. And I wish that there was a shelf right here. And this particular one does not have a moonroof, but you could option that with the Land Cruiser. Now the seats, very soft, very comfortable, but for me, the seats are a little bit tight. So this is a global vehicle, maybe not particularly made for us fat Americans here, but I feel like the cockpit is a little tight. I do like the higher roof line that the Land Cruiser has, especially with this one too, not having a moonroof. You do sit up, you are able to sit up very high, so if you're a taller person, the Land Cruiser may be the ticket for you. But going into the center row of the Land Cruiser, again, we have soft touch materials all on the doors right here. Very nice quality, it seems like. And we also have our vents, and we also have our HVAC right there for the 3-zone climate control, and our vents are up top. So with all 3 of these vehicles, I'm gonna get them into my driving position, which I've already done for the Land Cruiser. And climbing on in as a passenger at 5'11", I have a decent amount of space. Also, my knees right here, I have a good amount of space. Now, the cool thing about these seats is we can recline them on the Land Cruiser too to be nice and comfortable. Now, the Land Cruiser you cannot get at all as a 3-row SUV. So these seats, they do tumble to reveal kind of the cargo area. You may see cup holders here and be thinking, John, you're lying. Why are there cup holders there? Well, in America, we do not get a Land Cruiser with the 3rd row, unfortunately. So the rear glass, it's able to pop open. The hatch is an automatic hatch on this one. Land Cruiser can tow upwards of, I believe, 6,000 pounds. Same with the 4Runner. The Sequoia is going to be the one that does tow more. But all of our hybrid batteries sit under here because this is a standard hybrid system, 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. I wish that this got the same engine that the GX has, the 3.4 V6 twin turbo. But you have a decent amount of space back here in the Land Cruiser. My only gripe with the Land Cruiser is that the glass is a little bit cheap. So this particular vehicle, compared to the other 2, is gonna have quite a bit of wind noise because this glass right here, not laminate or anything. No laminate glass, no acoustic glass on the Land Cruiser, unfortunately. And with how the windshield is just very upright compared to the other 2, again, that helps with a higher roof line in it, which is nice. But it is a very kind of loud vehicle while on the highway. So pros of the Land Cruiser is that it is unique in its own design. It has a good, healthy engine, in my opinion, to move this vehicle. I do wish that it had the V6 non-hybrid option, and it has standard 4-wheel drive with all the off-roading goodies that you could want. Look, these three vehicles are expensive. If you don't want to buy one, I understand, but you could win one. A Race Against Blindness, their current fundraiser, guys, is a badass TRD off-road 6th Gen 4Runner. It's wrapped up. It's got Westcott Designs goodies on it as a FSR rooftop tent, 35-inch Toyo tires wrapped around some Method race wheels, plus $25,000 in cash. I will leave a link to a Race Against Blindness in the description for you guys. You can head on over there, make a tax-deductible donation for their cause to fight childhood blindness, and get yourself entered to win an amazing 6th Gen 4Runner. All right, so going over to the 4Runner now. So this is where we kind of step away a little bit from being its own vehicle to very truck-like-esque. The 4Runner has a lot of similar cues to it as the Tacoma does. Same with the Sequoia, has a lot of cues to the Tundra right there. So Toyota did pretty much stick with the 4Runner DNA. So if you're a fan of this trim or this model, the 4Runner, you could really see that it's 4Runner-esque as we head to the back. Now the best thing about it is the fact that the rear window still rolls down on this model. Now there's tons of different grades of the 4Runner, starting at $40,000-ish for the SR5, and then going all the way up to about $62,000 on the Platinum, which would be all-wheel drive standard hybrid, which compared to this at like $70,000 seems to be a bargain. And then the 4Runner does get close to that $70,000 range with the TRD Pro and also the Trail Hunter. So the example that we have right here is the Limited. You can get a Limited gasser like this, non-hybrid, with a third row seat. So if you're looking for a third row in a mid-size SUV, can't get it on Land Cruiser, you have to come over here to the 4Runner. So exterior of 4Runner looks nice, you know, looks like a 4Runner mixed with the Tacoma. The interior, exactly like Tacoma, unfortunately. However, it is made in Japan, so I do feel like the materials are a little bit better than that of the Tacoma. But we have a nice 14-inch screen over here. We have storage right here for the passenger. We got some fast USB-C charging, which is pretty nice, and also the wireless charger. Now, the 4Runner does not come with a center and rear locking diff, but you could get the center locking diff on an all-wheel drive model, which is the Limited and also the Platinum. Those are the only two that you could do that with. Or you can also get the 4Runner as a two-wheel drive or a part-time four-wheel drive. Like I said, 14-inch screen, heated ventilated seats are also an option for a 4Runner depending on trim, and a 12.3-inch screen right here. Nice look at the steering wheel, very truck-like steering wheel, not unique like the Land Cruiser's is, and then just a very Tacoma-esque interior. This one does come with a moonroof, no pano roof available in the 4Runner at all. Compared to the Land Cruiser, I definitely have a bit less headroom because this windshield is raked quite a bit compared to the Land Cruiser. So not that much headroom. This one also does have a moonroof. However, the side-to-side space I feel is a little bit better in this 4Runner than it is the Land Cruiser over there. This is made for the US market, so I feel like they just gave us a little bit more space, and that is very evident too with all the storage, like right here, up there, that the 4Runner has. So let's go ahead and make sure I'm in my driving position before we get into the rear seats. All right, so climbing into the back of the 4Runner now. This one does have automatic steps, which is an option that the Land Cruiser does not have. Again, if you guys want to build your Toyotas, go onto their site and go ahead and build them up. But nice little grab handle to get in. I just hit my head because this headline is a lot shorter than that of the Land Cruiser, especially too with the moonroof in it. This kind of goes down, but head space definitely a little bit more in the Land Cruiser. Leg space I feel about the same with my driving position as the Land Cruiser is, and of course this seat too can recline back a little bit more to give you some more head space. This one does have the third row seats, so I'll go ahead and show you that. These seats need to be up a little bit more, so you can tumble them forward to get into the back. So we can see that right there. And again, this is only on gas models. So if you got a 4Runner hybrid, you could not get the third row seats at all. But we have kind of a flat floor right here. And then if we go ahead and grab this strap, you could bring the seat up like this. You could see the amount of rear seat space that we lose. And then we have to pull this forward right there to lock that into place. Now, I have had some videos in the past of me trying to sit in the third row seat of the 4Runner. 100% it's for kids. It is not for adults back there. My knees hit the front seats pretty much no matter what, and there's not that much headroom either. So if you do want a third row seat though, in a mid-size SUV, if you have tiny little kids, do not go with the Land Cruiser. You have to go with a 4Runner SR5 or a Limited. Those are the only two options that you could do with the 4Runner. Let's go on over now to the Sequoia. Again, multiple grades for the Sequoia. This one that we are seeing today is a 1794 TRD off-road. So that is going to give us the rear locker, the multi-terrain select, and the crawl control, which you can get in all three of these options. This Sequoia just happens to have one, or you could get them in all three models, just depending on which trim level you go for. The Sequoia, same exact headlights as the Tundra. That's just like 4Runner. Same exact headlights as the Tacoma over there. Different grille, different grille, different grille than the Tacoma, but still very, very truck-like as its other brother over there. But the Sequoia, in my opinion, does look very good on the outside. I like the appearance more of this than I do the Tundra, but I like the Tacoma's front end appearance maybe just a little bit more than the 4Runner, but not by much. This double mustache is kind of growing on me. But the Sequoia is right now Toyota's biggest SUV. So if you want a body on frame SUV, it's going to be the Sequoia. You only have one engine option with this, just like the Land Cruiser. It is a hybrid system, but this one steps up to the 3.4 twin turbo V6 hybrid. With the 4Runner, you have the option. You could do a gas 2.4 or you could do the hybrid, so keep that in mind. But what do you guys think about the Sequoia? This one being the 1794, kind of a little Western inspired package for it. A little bit of flashy chrome. This one is close to, I believe, $80,000 range, and the Sequoia starts in the 50s for the SR5 models, maybe even close to $60,000 now. But the rear window does not roll down. It pops up and the automatic hatch in it. But we're gonna go ahead and go on into the interior, which, like I already stated, is the same as the Tundra. So this is the exact same interior as the Tundra, and unlike the 4Runner, which is made in Japan, this is also made in Texas, right alongside the Tundra. So all the materials are gonna feel the exact same as a Tundra. But we have a 14-inch screen right here. Unfortunately, when you get into upper trims of the Sequoia, you lose the shelf right there, but you can get it on the SR5. Nice 3-zone climate control again. We have all of our goodies for our trailer stuff right here. I believe the Sequoia can tow upwards of 8,000 pounds, maybe even 9,000 pounds, I believe. But again, it depends on the model. It depends on the options that you put onto it and stuff. So all that can be seen on Toyota's website. 12.3-inch screen right here, a little bit outdated when compared to the 4Runner and the Land Cruiser. You can't customize it as much as those vehicles. Unfortunately, we don't have the keys to power it on. And you only get, and you have Safety Sense 2.5, I believe, in this one, whereas you have 3.0 in those other vehicles. But same steering wheel as the 4Runner, same kind of big screen and infotainment as the 4Runner. Not as much storage here with this configuration on the Sequoia, unfortunately. And then all of our drive modes are all integrated into here like they are in the 4Runner, whereas the Land Cruiser was a whole bunch of buttons all over the place. Much bigger center console, does rattle a little bit. That is one thing that the fit and finish of those two vehicles made in Japan, a lot better than the ones made in America, unfortunately, for some reason. The Sequoia is going to have a panoramic moonroof, so if you want to have that option, you could totally have it with the Sequoia. And obviously, it goes without saying that this one has a whole bunch of room for us fat Americans. So pretty much getting it into my driving position right here. Go ahead and go into the back seat. Now, the cool thing with the Sequoia is that it does come standard as a 3-row SUV. So look at all that space up in this. And two, because we're at close to $80,000, you got peasant blockers in the Sequoia, which is pretty nice. Now, certain trims of Sequoia have a bench seat. Other ones have captain's chairs right here. So the captain's chairs are pretty nice. They unfortunately do not slide forward. So if you had a car seat right here, you can't really like slide and move the seat to get into the back. But to get into the back seats, all we do is just pull this, they tumble forward, and then we have our rear seats right here, which are automatic. So unlike the 4Runner, you know, you just press a button right here and the seats move up and down. Kind of looks like a little Star Wars droid right there. These seats will also slide forward and slide back to give you a little bit more space for either the passenger or cargo that you have behind. So we're gonna go ahead, put these seats down, pull them back up, climb on in, and of course, you have tons of space now here in the Sequoia. The seat also reclines back, so if you want to have even more space, totally can. Headroom, pretty decent. Go ahead and pull the seat back up a little bit more upright. I think the Land Cruiser wins for maybe the most headspace, barely, but it still does have the best headspace because of that higher roof line for the rear occupants. We also have vents right here. We have 3-zone climate control, and we also have vents up in the ceiling. Nice cup holders too for these occupants in the center. And then the back seats have some storage and cup holders as well, and also some USB-Cs with the vents right up there in the ceiling. Now the Sequoia, to me, has the worst cargo area because it is a standard hybrid system. So if we go ahead and open up this nice automatic hatch, it has the worst cargo area, I feel like, out of all these. So this shelf is already set up to showcase kind of the flat floor that you would get, because these seats sit on top of the rear batteries back here. So this is kind of just the little bit of the cargo area that you have with the Sequoia. I feel like it's honestly the same as the 4Runner, man. Like if you were to have the rear seats up, and then if you were to put the rear seats down in the 4Runner, you still get this flat floor like you have in the Sequoia. However, the movement to get stuff off the ground up into the Sequoia is significantly higher than it is over there on the 4Runner. So definitely a trade-off for the Sequoia because of the hybrid batteries. I feel like that's maybe why they did not put them onto the Land Cruiser, just because of the whole kind of battery setup that it has back there. But that was a brief look, guys, at all three of these, comparing them together. Of course, again, like I said, go on to Toyota's website if you're even interested, price them out, see them out, pick and choose the different kind of trim configurations, because there is a lot to shift through. I just wanted to give a very quick kind of rundown of each one and what it has to offer. So guys, I appreciate you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, see you later.